Hello, sports fans. I'm Sage from Sports Bros World, coming to you today with Sage's 7. Today we're going to go over fantasy baseball sleepers, in particularly fantasy baseball starting pitcher sleepers. I'm going to give you a list of 7 who I think these are guys that could basically venture in to be that number 1 or number 2 on your fantasy baseball staff. Hopefully, even contend with their own team as an ace, potentially. We'll see, but these are the 7 I have on my list. Hopefully, it'll help you out a little bit this year in your draft. No particular order on these. I'm just giving you 7 starting pitcher sleepers for 2015 fantasy baseball draft. Number 1 is Shoemaker. Out in Anaheim, he kind of proved to everyone that he belonged last year, and until his injury was just awesome. And really, I think he is just going to keep taking steps forward. In a lot of leagues, he still has relief pitching eligibility. So somebody to definitely think about, put on your radar, snatch before one of your fellow draftees. Next on my list is another one with potential eligibility as a relief pitcher, is Alex Wood. Again, same thing, steady progression here. I think he can definitely pitch. He proved that last year. I think, again, he just takes steps forward. I definitely look to pick him up a little sooner than the projections are saying. And hopefully, if he does have the relief eligibility in your league, then maybe you can plug him in a relief role and get a little extra innings, all that good stuff. My number 3 is Collin McHugh down in Houston. He is, again, another one of these young arms that just keeps going. And he, to me, has been the guy in Houston to really worry about as far as opposing batters. I don't think of anybody on the staff in Houston that's the guy people don't want to face. And he seems to be kind of working into that ace role down there. Houston keeps taking steps forward, and they're kind of coinciding together. This is a guy I think next year we'll be talking about, a top 20 pitcher. He is a really solid pitcher, and I definitely keep an eye out. Number 4 is Michael Wacha in St. Louis. Despite the injury last year and a little bit of inconsistency, I think he is kind of the next man up as far as a potential ace of that staff. Wainwright definitely has fluttered, but I think Wainwright will also be great pickup. You're going to draft Wainwright way ahead of Wacha, though. Wacha is a guy you can have a sneaky pick with, and again, depending upon your league, he might have lost eligibility last year, but he is definitely a guy I'll look at. He has all the tools in the chest. He has all the pitches. Just want him to stay healthy, stay a little more consistent. I think this year with that organization, he's going to put it together. My number 5 is Doug Fister. Again, this is a guy I think has slipped under a lot of people's radars, but he can strike guys out. He doesn't really let a lot of guys on, so if he does give up, a deep ball or a gapper, it's typically not going to score a run. He is just a guy, I think his stuff has always been great, and I think this year is the year he takes that next step. I'd draft him a little earlier than your opponent will. Again, with all these guys, you want to jump on them before somebody else does in your league. If I had this staff as my 7, I would absolutely be okay with it. So keep that in mind. Doug Fister. Number 6, Alex Cobb. Struggled a little bit with injuries. And, he's always been the guy that is drafted last on his team, typically, of the quality pitchers. I think people know about him enough that he's probably going to get drafted, but just keep in mind, again, you want to get this guy early. You want to get him earlier than you expect, and depending upon your league and, the stats and who's in it, how many teams, just keep in mind with all of these guys, you want to draft a little earlier than your opponent. Alex Cobb, gonna have a good year. I think his strikeouts are gonna go up. I think he has just been that guy that's been steady, and if you knock out a few injuries, we're looking at this guy at a lot lower rank, so a lot better rank, I should say, lower number. But Alex Cobb is a guy that I would definitely look for maybe a round or two before somebody else snags him. My last one is probably the guy on this list I would want the most to snag early. That's Marcus Stroman in Toronto. I know it's a launching pad up there, but this guy has heat. He has a few pitches that he's been steadily getting better and better with, common theme with this list. So, Marcus Stroman, though, I think, they're going to ask him to do a lot more this year. He has some good solid pitchers ahead of him and has for years, and hopefully they've been developing him. I think this offseason it's really going to be a determining factor in his career, and I think Toronto needs him to step up, and I think he will. Marcus Stroman is my number 7. So there you go. There's your starting pitching. A little bit of sleepers there. Again, if I just had 7 pitchers and these were my 7 on draft day, I'd be okay with it. Granted, you want to snag somebody early if you can. I try to get those top tier guys. But if not, start looking elsewhere. Start looking for, the guys that are, hidden gems. What can you say? I mean, these guys have all put up great numbers, whether it's injuries, youth, combination of both, teams they were on, blah, blah, blah. These 7 I really like. So, note it down. Hopefully you can snag them before anybody else in your league. And I'm Sage. That was Sage's 7. And look for me next week. I'm going to follow up as we progress on the podcast, going through our list position by position. I'm going to try to follow up and do that as well. So catchers and first base will be next. Look for that soon. Thanks a lot. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Come check out the website, sportsbrosworld.com. Send us a line if you have any questions or requests for any of these videos, blogs, anything you want us to bring up on the podcast. See you next time.